Hey, what is up guys? So we are going to be going over some beastly new support cards for Gravekeepers and Legacy of the Valiant. Let's go ahead and kick it off with a really cool card, Royal Tomb of Necrovalley. It should be called Royal Tomb of Necrovalley Infernity Barrier, but anyways, it's a pretty good card. So it is a counter trap card, and it says when a card or effect is activated, if both Necrovalley and a Gravekeeper monster are on the field, negate the activation. And if you do destroy that card, you can only activate one Royal Tomb of Necrovalley per turn. Now obviously it has that downside, quote unquote, that you have to, not only have Necrovalley, but you also have to have a Gravekeeper monster. Now, there are cards where, the field is treated as Necrovalley, so I'm pretty sure that would work, but we'll have to see once the official rulings come out. For whatever reason, it might just not work, but I think that is pretty good. Maybe someone will actually play, Gravekeeper's Priestess. That card never really saw any play in the deck, so hey, maybe someone will actually try to run it. I think this card definitely has some potential in the deck, and I don't think you'll be able to use it if you have a face-down Gravekeeper monster, so there is, its downside, but this card is really good, and since you can only use one of them per turn, it's not as crazy as Barrier, because if you guys have played against Infernity, sometimes they end up setting 3 Barrier, and they go ahead. And at that point, you're looking at a game where it's just nearly impossible to win, unless you happen to, be able to, Super Poly, and then, you can't change a Super Poly. But yeah, that card is, this card is going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be some nice support for Gravekeepers. Next up, we have the card that I'm more excited about. A lot of people were excited about the Royal Tomb card. I'm more excited about this because this makes Gravekeepers absolutely crazy for their consistency. So, Gravekeepers Apostle. When this card is destroyed by battle with your opponent's attacking monster and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Gravekeeper monster from your deck in face-down defense position except for itself. That means you can go to Gravekeeper's Guard to get rid of any XYZs, any Synchros. You can go into Spy to flip to get Recruiter. There's so many options. You basically have the ability to stall or to put some pressure on your opponent if you want to go over with Gravekeeper's Guard or something. And then, simply next turn you might have a blank field. And Gravekeepers is not necessarily a deck that you can OTK in, but there are some cards that we'll get into that have some potential to push for a lot of damage. Next up we have Gravekeeper's Shaman. So it is level 6, so you're gonna have a tribute. I don't know how viable that is, but anyways, so this card gains 200 defense for each Gravekeeper's monster in your graveyard. Negate all monsters' effects activated in the graveyard, so that's pretty good, except Gravekeeper monsters' effects. While Necrovalley is on the field, your opponent cannot activate field spell cards. Also, field spell cards on the field cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So that works pretty well in combination with Royal Tomb of Necrovalley. So if they go MST, you don't have to immediately activate this card to protect your Necrovalley. Otherwise, this card would technically be dead because Necrovalley would no longer be on the field. So I think that is pretty good in that aspect. But it is level 6. I mean, how often do you really want to tribute in Gravekeepers? Unless you're tributing for Caius, then that's cool. I used to attack one Caius in Gravekeepers. I loved that card at 1 in that deck. Next up, we have Gravekeeper's Ambush, a level 4 monster. When this card is flipped face up, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish that target. If this card was sent to the graveyard after being flipped face up, you can target one Necrovalley card in your graveyard. Add that target to your hand. This card's effects cannot be negated by Necrovalley. That's pretty good in the aspect that it can't be negated by Necrovalley, but it's really mediocre. I really don't see anyone using it. If it had huge defense, maybe, but the problem is you have to set it and then you have to flip it face up. It's a lot slower. The way I look at it is you really don't need it, especially with this new card. You have so many more options for it, but that's not bad. I mean, you can easily go from Apostle into Ambush or flip the Ambusher up, then banish a card. It's not bad, but the way I look at it is pretty much unnecessary. Because usually your opponent won't have access to the graveyard, whether you're playing the Shaman or Necrovalley pretty much stops the graveyard most of the time anyways. Next up, we have Gravekeeper's Saniwa. I actually did a review of this card. I thought this card was terrible because it only gets its effect when it's normal summon, so even if you use that Gravekeeper's Call of the Haunted card, I forgot if it had any restrictions, but even if you brought this card out with this, it's not very good. But anyways, you can tribute 3 monsters or 1 Gravekeeper's monster to tribute summon this card. When this card is normal summon, you can apply a number of effects up to the number of Gravekeeper's monsters that were tributed for this card's normal summon. So it gains attack equal to the combined levels of the tributed monster times 100. Destroy all set monsters your opponent controls, and that's not too meta anyways. And then all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls lose 2,000 attack and defense. That's probably the best effect, but you gotta be tributing 3 monsters, because you could tribute, 1 Gravekeeper monster, but is that really worth, just getting a little bit of attack? It's only got 2,000 attack, and to me, the effect is mediocre. I know you get the boost of 5 500 for Necro Valley, so that's not bad. I mean, this is just like the beater in the deck. But would you really want to play this? For me, I would much rather play Kaius. Kaius, it banishes the card, and then you get to go swing directly, and I think that is much better. But let me know if you guys are excited to play some Gravekeepers. I know I have several Gravekeepers decks. Like, I've played a lot of variants of Gravekeepers. There's versions where you can play Stardust Assault mode. There's versions where you can play Malefics. There's different ways you can play Skill Drain in the deck. So I think that this card will be pretty good. I mean, we already have the Gravekeeper structure deck, so this might make some players be interested in actually picking up Gravekeepers. I think that, you know, obviously this card, Royal Tomb, is really good, but really what it comes down to, for me, I'm more excited about this card if I was a Gravekeeper player. The deck is a little bit slow, so if you haven't played Gravekeepers and you're interested in actually playing the deck, get a feel for the deck before you actually start, you know, investing yourself into the card. They're relatively inexpensive, unless you want to get some of the champion pack super rare Gravekeeper Spies. The deck is a little bit slow, so just keep in mind you will not be OTKing in this deck unless you're playing skill drains with Malefics and, you know, other cards. You really can't OTK Gravekeepers too easily. But anyways, let me know your guys' thoughts on Gravekeepers. Are you excited to play them? Are you excited to play against them? Because, you know, this might make Gladiator Beast see some more play. Gladiator Beast have a really easy matchup against Gravekeepers because you could just pop Necro Valley, and a lot of stuff revolves around, you know, having Necro Valley in order for their effects to, you know, go through, or essentially, you know, the monsters to be big enough to actually run over stuff. So, like I said, Gladiator Beasts have a pretty easy matchup, but, you know, Gravekeepers do have a lot of back row, so be aware of Gravekeepers because they do happen to run a lot of back row. But you can use cards that just pop certain back row. Like Breaker beats Gravekeepers pretty hard because it basically runs over anything in the deck that they can normal summon, and then it gets rid of Necro Valley in addition to that, or any back row. But be on the lookout for Gravekeepers, and like I said, let me know if you guys are excited to play them, or excited to play against them, or if you just hate Gravekeepers and you wish the deck would just die. But it never really was a huge meta deck. It did top multiple YCSs though, so this deck, like I said, might have some potential just because of this card. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes out. Oh, wait, hold on. Before I forgot, I just want to mention that Lightsworn has a really good matchup against Gravekeepers too, because, I mean, like, you can't banish for Gardena, but, like, who really cares? You're just going to blow up the field anyways. I just figured that was kind of important to mention because, you know, I always got to mention that Lightsworn has, you know, a good matchup against this deck. And honestly, guys, Lightsworn is going to be huge. But thanks for watching. Asian Eyes out. For real this time.